Hi, welcome to the Guitar Department. I'm your host, Joe Alton. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about Horse with No Name by America in honor of 4th of July weekend, which we're recording this on, by the way. It's going to air a little bit later. We've also got special guest Rich Casciato, the district sales manager for Taylor, is going to be here with a special lick of the week. And in the Tone Zone, well, we've got a lot to cover. It's going to be a good show. Well, since it's 4th of July weekend, as we're filming this anyway, I thought I would take a moment to teach a song by the band America. And you can't get much more iconic than the song Horse with No Name. And since this is one of the, I don't like to use the word easy, but this is one of the classic beginner songs. It's one of the first few songs that people learn. It's really down to 2 chords, 3 if you're technical, but here's what we're going to deal with. We have an E minor chord, which is just 2 fingers on the 2nd fret of the 4th and 5th strings. So we've got 0, and then 2, 2, and then 0, 0, 0 on the bottom 3. That's our first chord. And then what happens next, the way I'm going to teach it anyway, is that you're going to bring your pointer finger up a string to the F sharp, and you're going to bring your ring finger down onto the A of the 3rd string. So we've got 2, 0, 2, 2, and then 0, 0. And that's what that chord sounds like. And then midway through that measure of strumming, you're going to release the middle finger and open up the open D string. So we'll have E minor, and then this chord where it's sort of an F minor 7, add 4, add 6, but also it's kind of not. And then when you remove the top finger, the middle finger, it becomes a D6 over 9. So we've got sort of a complicated name, but this is one of those songs where you can sort of tell, maybe anyway, that they sort of just started with E minor and then decided to put their fingers somewhere else and see how it sounded. And the way it sounds is fantastic. As you're probably aware, this is one of the most iconic songs of all time. Now, if you really don't want to worry about moving your middle finger, what you can do is just do an E minor chord and then just spread the fingers out 1 string each. Middle finger down a string, pointer finger up a string. That will get you really close to the sound you need, and it makes it quite a bit easier to deal with. So if you're struggling with this chord progression, make sure that you try this just to see if that's maybe what will work better for you. But the key to unlocking this song is in the right hand, and that's what we're going to talk about now. We have our E minor chord, and this is all about accenting your strum. And notice there that my downbeats on beats 1 and 3 are just sort of a half strum. Now I'm doing that to exaggerate. If you listen to America actually play this song live, there's quite a bit of muting going on, but they're also strumming through a little more. But the real accent here is on beats 2 and 4. And the difference is that when you downstroke on 1, it's mostly just your arm. When you downstroke on 2 and 4, you're going to snap your wrist. So even without the chord, you can hear that pulse, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I'm exaggerating it a little bit for effect, but that's exactly what you'll do. And then when you switch the chord, you're going to do essentially the same thing, but you're going to go down and then up and then mute. And again, if you watch them do it live, you'll notice this exact pattern. They have a sort of percussive downstroke, meaning that your palm hits the strings and then the pick follows through. Sort of like that. I'm not muting with my left hand at all. Like that. and then you are going to release that middle finger for the last 3 strokes, up, down, up. So down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, mute, up, down, up, down, up. Now that right hand mute is something else that we should actually talk about, because it is something that you hear a lot just as a percussive. No matter what song you're playing, you can use that to sort of increase the flow of the song. Very few songs are strummed equally on every strum. That's what it sounds like if you just sort of wail away on it. But if you're adding those accents, down, down, up, and then you add that mute, it has a little bit more of that percussive flow to it, that more of a pulse, the more of a driving feeling. And that's sort of what makes this song work, is that it has a movement to it, even though it's just 2 chords. That and the harmonies in the chorus part really make that part soar a little bit more. That right hand mute, pop, 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 that's going to be key to this, and it's a really tricky technique to get. If you're struggling with it, just touch it with your palm. If you get that palm mute down, then try adding a strum with the pick after the palm hits. It's a kind of a tricky technique, but it'll take you a long way. And that's how you play Horse with No Name by America. Happy 4th of July, everybody. All right, we're back with our special guest, Rich Casciato, the district sales manager at Taylor, and he's got our special lick of the week. Rich, what you got for us?
Know, Joe, one of the things I was thinking about was, as I listened to guitar players, the first real lick that they ever learn is the pentatonic scale. So if we're messing around in the key of E, that pentatonic scale of that, right? Okay. But most songs are in a major key. So the lick that I use a lot, that I actually stole from Dickie Betts with the Allman Brothers, and virtually where Dickie lives on every solo that the Allman Brothers ever played, is somewhere around. All right, so it's major.
Very major.
It's very major. Unlike that has a minor note in it.
That G natural.
That G natural, which isn't there in a major, right? You all know this, right? You're picking up on this, right? So if you were to play, like, let's say example, we use Melissa, the song Melissa. If I try to play in a pentatonic, that doesn't work. But if I do,
Sounds great.
so now we have what works, and it's the major scale, not a minor. It's kind of like when people play Sweet Home Alabama in the key of D, right?
Yeah.
Well, see, it's not in the key of D. Everybody
key of G.
thinks it is. It's in the key of
G.
It's in the key of G. But everybody tries to think it's in the key of D, and they try to play a pentatonic lead in the key of D. No, it's in the key of G.
Ed King plays in
Ed
G
King
major.
plays in a G major scale, but everybody goes, yeah, but it starts, so that's in the key of D.
It starts on 5.
No, it's not. It starts on the 5.
5, 4, 1.
5, 4, 1.
And see, I've always thought of it as the minor pentatonic over a major chord. A minor pentatonic is going to get you more of a bluesy.
Yep.
And that little minor third against the major of the chord.
Yeah.
And then if you play the major pentatonic or just a major scale, get a much more southern rock, bordering on country sort of sound.
Yep.
It's a lot more folky. It's a lot less
Right.
bluesy.
And in either case, they always need to be resolved.
Yes.
So I know we're really going down a rabbit hole here, and it's kind of really geeky guitar talk, but this is a guitar show. So hey, we can talk geeky guitar if
That's
we
why we
want
brought
to.
you here, Rich.
That's why I'm here, because I am the geek with the perfect face for radio. Okay. So that's kind of my lick of the week, is just be thinking about major versus minor, and if you're going to use a minor pentatonic scale in a major scale song, resolve it, and it might work. I guess we're going to jam a little bit later on in the show, right?
Yeah. Before we do,
And
can I see that Dickie Betts lick one more time?
Oh, yeah, the...
Excellent.
Okay, so, and you can hear it on, if you're in the key of G with Ramblin' Man. Okay, it's that, so it's that scale, it's just moved.
Yeah.
Okay, everything...
Everything parallel.
Everything. Blue Sky. It's like, it's you know, we're not selling Dickie short now. Dickie's amazing, okay? Don't anybody say that Rich thought Dickie wasn't amazing. Dickie's amazing.
Dickie, if you're watching, we
Dickie, if
apologize.
you're watching, or even if your son Dwayne is watching, you're both amazing. But they're taking that formula, that scale formula, and they use it, and it's what works. That's why you can hear that. Every single song you can hear, that's Dickie Betts.
Yeah.
You know, that's Dickie playing a solo. Where's Dwayne? Oh, he's over there. But he's mimicking that as well.
You hear it emulated a lot too. You hear people copying that sound all the time.
All over the place, yeah. But that's where it lives. It lives, you know, it lives there. It lives there.
So if we were playing the minor pentatonic, we would put our pointer on the root of the scale, in this case E,
Right.
and then play our standard pentatonic pattern. And then, or your preferred pattern for that matter. There are at least 5. And then if you're playing major, you just move all
it.
of that back 3 frets.
Shift
You
to
put your
3
pinky
frets.
on the root.
That's right. Yep. It's whoever laid out the guitar. Really, you know, of all the different ways they could have done it, and you think about it. Well, why do I have to go down to here to tune that string? Why isn't it perfectly this? Well, because you would never be able to play that
It
chord.
would be a mess.
It would be
yeah.
a mess. So yeah, Pythagorean theorem. For those of you that thought mathematics doesn't work, it does. Okay. So there you go. Lick of the
Thank
week.
you. That's our lick of the week. Thank you, Rich.
Yeah, fun.
Excellent.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And now it's time for us to check in on the Tone Zone. And today, for our pedal of the week, we finally got in one of the Fender Hammertone series pedals. These were announced several months ago, and we finally got one in. This is the Fender Hammertone Reverb pedal. Now, they've got a whole line of these coming out, and it looks like it's just a brushed, polished metal covering, but it's actually definitely a powder coat or a cover of some kind on it. But this is a really cool pedal, and here's what we've got. First things first, I'm just going to crank up the time, the level, and the damp, and show you how long this thing can go. So I can still hear it. I don't know how well the microphone's picking that up, but it is still ringing out from that first chord. Now, the obvious question is, why do you need that much reverb? You don't, but why not, right? And so if I want to dampen that down a little bit, we have the time knob. And it was on 10, I'm going to turn it down to, say, 7. And just like that, it's a lot more manageable. It's a lot better with chords, actually. got a very sort of ambient sound. So if you want to spend some time just carrying something a little more ambient, that's going to be really good for you. Now, we've actually got quite a bit to show you on this. And I'm going to start next with the damp knob. So if I turn that all the way down, what you should notice is towards the end of that echo, there's a little more high end. Now, when you turn the damp knob up, what it does is it gradually tails off the EQ, the high end of the reverberation. So the effect itself starts off the same, and the longer it goes, the less high end you hear. So again, here it is with the damp turned all the way down. And then if I turn the damp all the way up, and again, the difference isn't in what happened when I played the chord, it's in that echo and the way it starts to trail off. Now we've actually got another option for that too. So I'm going to turn this damp knob all the way back down, and I'm going to hit the tone knob, this tone toggle switch. What that does is it sort of cuts off the high end altogether. Still very echoey because we've got this time knob still at 7. The tone knob, if I turn that back off, and then I flip it back down, this sort of takes a little bit of that high end out. Now we've got one more toggle switch here. I'm going to flip the tone knob back up, and we've got 3 options for the type of reverb. They are hall, room, and plate. Right now, I believe we're on hall. So I'm going to turn the time back up all the way so that it just goes for days. And now I've switched it from hall to room. And you can tell right away it just doesn't ring as long. It's a sort of a different type of reverb, but the name sort of implies what it is. If you're in a giant hall, something like Wells Fargo Arena, for instance, or a big echoey church, perhaps, you're going to get a little more echo out of that. It's going to keep reverberating for a little bit longer. But if you're in a smaller room, for instance, the studio that we're in now, you're going to get a little less natural reverb, and this is emulating that. So it's going to die off a little bit quicker. And then if I click the tone knob on the room setting, you can see it just dampens that high end a little bit more. Now we're going to switch it from room to plate. And this is a bit different also. It's as though we have something else reverberating our signal, not necessarily just the natural echo of a room. You can hear how it sort of, I don't want to use the word shimmer, because shimmer technically means something else in the reverb world, but it's definitely got like a sheen to it. Now, we're going to turn that down. We can turn the damper up just a little bit. We'll turn the level down just a little bit. And now we've got a little more reasonable, practical sound out of the pedal. You can hear it's still echoing, but it's just not quite as abrasive as it was before. A little more usable for something like soloing or playing chord. Say you want to try and emulate an acoustic sound with your electric guitar, that's a great way to do it. And speaking of the electric guitar, outside of the pedal of the week, the Fender Hammertone Reverb, we've also got this wonderful Schecter Omen Extreme 6 that Raymond's let me borrow. And man, this thing is beautiful, solid maple top. We've got, so the configuration of the knobs is a little different than normal. On your standard Stratocaster model, you would have, in this case, a 3-way toggle switch, which is a pickup selector, and then you would have a volume that's global, and then tone 1 and tone 2 for each of these. But that's not what's happening here. What we've got is a volume for your neck pickup, a volume for your bridge pickup, and then, so if you have them in the middle, they both sort of work, but they're still connected to each of the pickups. And then here we have a tone knob, so you can darken things up or brighten them up. And it's also a coil splitter. So if I pull this out, now I'm working with single coils. So that's a pretty cool feature there. I'll switch it back to humbucker by pushing this back in. Now the coil splitter means that you only get one of the 2 humbuckers to actually work. So the humbucker is 2 single coils tied together. We're now just using one of them. If I push this back in, now we're using both again. Pull it back out. A little bit less gain, a little bit less volume, but sort of a single coily sound, which is something that you might find use for. Man, I like this guitar a lot. Also, we're not done there. We've got the brand new Line 6 Catalyst. Get my phone off the top here. This is the newest Line 6 amp. Line 6 is back. They have, as you may know, they were sort of the mantle holder of the modeling amps for a while back. The Line 6 series was pretty prominent maybe 5-10 years ago. And now they're back with this brand new Catalyst series, and it looks, frankly, an awful lot like the Boss Katana. For those of you keeping track at home, we've had the Boss Katana on a couple times now. It's a great sort of modern modeling amp system. And modeling amp means that you don't necessarily need any type of pedals at all. So if I turn my reverb pedal off here, now we've got just a clean signal. This actually has reverb built into it. We've also got all sorts of gain. So I'm switching it from clean to boutique. Now I'm switching it from boutique to chime. Not necessarily in order of gain. Now our next one here is called crunch. Pretty good for power chords, a nice little sort of overdriven sound. From there, we go to dynamic. This is without touching any of the other knobs, by the way. So it's got pretty good sort of generic rock sound. Last but not least, high gain, and this is where you get a little bit more of that metal sound. Now, that's all with just a little bit of reverb. If I turn that off, you get a little bit more of that abrupt stop. And you can hear it's sensitive, but it's pretty noise-free between chords. There's not a lot of buzz or that sort of, you might get with a pedal some extra sort of distortion sound. This just isn't there. It's nice and clean. Gotta love the sustain of a high gain. You can just sort of sit there and shake the note. And it'll just keep ringing out. It's kind of cool. The Line 6 Catalyst. Now, of course, we haven't even messed with the boost knob or any of the other effects that we have here. We've got on top a bass, mid, and treble, and a presence knob. This one just says effect. Let me switch this back to clean. Ooh. So we've got a little bit of delay on there. It's got 18 different built-in effects, 6 different reverbs, an effects loop so that you can bypass all of the distortions. And man, it's just a really fun amp. You can turn it to a 1/2 watt so that you can practice it at full volume, or it gets up to 60 watts. There's also a 100 watt and a 200 watt version. The Line 6 Catalyst, and our pedal of the week, the Fender Hammertone Reverb pedal. All right, well, thank you for tuning into the Guitar Department. I've been your host, Joe Alton. I want to thank Rich Casciato for being here and giving us our lick of the week. Rich, that was fantastic.
Really fun.
Where do you gig? Where do you play?
Every once in a while, I play at the, I do a solo acoustic gig at the Tremont Restaurant in Marshalltown, and that's really fun. And shout out to J.P. Howard and everybody up there. And really, that's it. And I play in San Diego a lot.
Be sure to check him out, you San Diego viewers.
Yeah.
I also want to thank Mediacom for giving us a place to shoot this show, and Riemann Music for supplying the Catalyst amp and the pedal of the week, the Fender Hammertone Reverb. I want to thank Jason Prine, our producer and cameraman, double duty in it tonight. And be sure to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Guitar Department. And now, to play us out, 12 Bar Blues with Rich Casciato.
Yeah.
Ready?
Okay.